This is the Outliers Edge podcast, where we champion the leaders who are shaping the next era of humanity by taking them to the edge of their comfort zone so that they can lead us to the edge of what's next. I'm your host, Niiamah Ashong. Let's do this. Breathe in with me. I felt like I needed that breath here as we get started in today's conversation. Hey, how are you? I'm Niiamah Ashong. Good. Yes, this is good. I love it. We're in. And we're gonna continue here. So y'all, I'm here with Kim Tice in conversation here. Kim, I'm gonna do a quick little thing. I'm gonna let people know where they are and the conversation they're into, and then we're gonna just keep playing from there. Sound good?
Great.
Awesome. So I'm Niiamah Ashong, founder of Outliers Edge, where we champion the leaders who are shaping the next era of humanity. Kim, I had to actually say that at the very beginning here, not because of any recording things or any of that, but because like if I don't say that, I forget the game that I'm playing. You know,
Right.
I'm surrounded by amazing people like yourself who are up to big things in the world. And like we're gonna just have a conversation. We're gonna just be in whatever our flow ends up being. And there's something about like regrounding myself, recentering myself into the capacity of like, and while it might look like a casual conversation, or while this conversation may not look like it has the structure of other environments, for those of us that are championing something new in the world, there is no set path to it. Like there is no way of knowing what one thing we do or what the proper order is for it to come to life. Instead, we're in a space of like having to let things emerge, and once something emerges, making that into something awesome as well. So I'm glad to have you here, Kim. I'm glad to be in conversation with you here. I'm excited for this next part because what I've been doing as people come into conversation with me is starting it off with like letting you know who you are to me. I get excited because I don't know the answer yet. Like, I mean, it's in my subconscious, but like, I purposely don't sit around and be like, who? So are you open to me sharing who you are to me?
I am. I'm like a little like nervous, excited.
Yeah.
No pressure.
That's cool. I asked this question. I realized because I have a good friend, and I've asked him to come and be on in the conversation with us at some point. But I had a good friend, and he was like, sometimes I don't like hanging out with you. I'm like, why is that? He's like, because every time you introduce me, you let people know who I really am. Like, just tell them I work at this company and let it go.
Right.
I'm like, and then you know what though, Kim? I actually took that. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, I must be doing a disservice, so on and so forth. So I stopped doing it for a while. And I started meeting people in just their titles. And I started realizing like, as like the person as their title to me is actually quite boring. Like I'm just not impressed. I'm just not interested. Like I'm like, got you. You did this. Great. You worked. You're clearly competent at your job. Sometimes I'm like, oh, so you stuck around. Everyone else left. And there's so many things here where I'm just like, what I care about is the person that you are that enabled you to continuously get into the positions or the opportunities that you have. And so that's what I like to speak to here. And this is not a universal thing, but it is definitely true for me in this current moment, whatever it is that I'm going to say, whatever that happens.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I can't imagine you just playing back someone's title. So
I've done it. It's just boring. So I'm over that. All right. So Kim, look, Kim, you are one of the few people that I've met that I can like really trust with not just holding my vision, but carrying my vision forward. We met in the capacity that already helped me like get a glimpse into your greatness. But what consistently happens is that whenever I spend time with you, you're the person that ends up asking the 2 or 3 questions that really get to like the core of what is actually like at play. What's so fun about you is that like you have I know there's 2 things I'm gonna say. You have an element of your life that like can exude a completeness of life, a fullness of life. I think about you as a model in my life, as someone who like chooses to live in the fullness and richness of all life has to offer, and is relentless and honest in the pursuit of what like truly fulfills you, right? Like that's some people talk it and you can tell they be miserable, you know.
Yeah.
But I see you as someone who goes out and does that, like, and actually gets into that alignment. um there's a second thing that had come to me like intuitively in that moment, but I'm going to let that go because it's not here right now. What is
Yeah.
present is that I really trust you. I trust you with the vision. Like, you're able to, I'd spend time with Outliers, and like what I get about you is that like you just jump in. Like, you're someone who can see where something's heading, or even if you can't see where it's heading, you're like, all right, well, I'll sit with you in the co-pilot seat. Like, did you check your measurements here? Cool. Do you know what direction you want to go in? Awesome. Hey, by the way, I've heard about this. There's a headwind coming up here. Like, when that comes up, how do you want to go and address it? I'm using these flying metaphors right now, but like the key thing is that like I think that why you are so special to me is that I feel that I can actually fly with you. I don't have to pretend that I'm a runner and be like, oh gosh, I need to get from here to here, like, and I have to get there on foot. Like, with you, you're like, I see it. You're a plane. You're a rocket ship. Let's just move at that speed and go from there. Not everyone's able to do that, and you do it so effortlessly. I'm so honored, and I feel incredibly valuable that you're in my world. I appreciate you, and I'm glad to like have a platform to help you be out in the world even more and help other people see you a little bit closer as I see you. That feels
Well,
complete for me right now.
that means the world to me. I always know you're speaking from your heart. And I love that, like, I can see it in you're feeling into this, and I feel it in your words, and I feel it in, you know, I get goosebumps when I hear some of it, because it's it's really meaningful to me, but it's also really special coming from you, because I hold you in such high regard as well. So thank you. Um, yeah, thank you. And I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I'm truly, truly excited. I think, Kim, I'd like to give some space here. I've shared who you are to me. I'd love to give you some space to talk a bit about like how you show up in the world, who you are out in the world, whether it's professional or personal. Like, just give us a chance to get to know you.
Yeah. Well, I think, as you were playing back, holding your vision, being your co-pilot, seeing where you were going, maybe even when you didn't know where you were going, or seeing the headwinds coming up. I think what it clued into me is that I've spent majority of my career being surrounded by creative people. And I find a lot of comfort in that. I think I'm a creative person, but I love to surround myself with like big thinkers, because what I think I do best in the world is help support big thinkers get to where they want to go. And it's funny because like over my career, I was like, I'm always a great number two. I'm always a great number two. And as I think back, it's like, I'm not necessarily a number two, but I'm an enabler of really visionary thinkers. And I figure out how to get that work done, sell that work through, get other people to believe in that work, which has been a majority of my career. So going back to your question, I spent, 18 years in the advertising industry on the business side of things. But like I said, I was a real true partner to our creative team and coming up with those big ideas. I have since transitioned into coaching and plus recruiting, but at the core of it, I'm still surrounding myself around creative people. That's who I coach. That's who I recruit. So, I'm very much happy when ideas are flowing and sharing. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love being in your space, is because you don't think small. You never think small. You think big. And it's inspiring, frankly. And um, I love seeing a vision and seeing the path to get there, because I don't know that some creative people can see the vision, but they don't know the path to get there. So I think there's a magic in that yin to the yang.
So let's play with this here, because earlier today you said something to me that shook me. We had like 3 minutes left in our conversation, and you said something along the lines of, hey, it might look like or feel like this to you, but the nuance that I'm feeling is something else. Do you mind if I share that thing that you said with me? Okay, cool. I just want to make sure that we're in good space to do that. But the thing that you brought to my vision here, let me just say it like this. I was talking about like, hey, I'm afraid as a visionary leader, I'm gonna come to you all with like all these different ideas, but they are getting implemented, and I don't want it to be seen as though I am like, wishy-washy, or like, oh, there he goes again, like come up with something new, so on and so forth. And I had said, like, I don't want to be seen as being too much, or being too something. And you brought in a really lovely distinction, which I think like it speaks to like the ability to hold it here, where you said, I'm not necessarily sure it's about the too muchness as well as much as it may be about your own, do you believe that you'll be able to complete this?
Mhm.
And it was a moment that just kind of like had me stop for a bit.
Yeah.
Because that is actually at play. As a visionary leader, I can come up, it's easy to start things,
Right.
it's easy to even think of things that should be started, but there's something in the completion of that vision that is honestly a struggle at times, you know.
Yeah.
And so I would love to talk a little bit more around like the completion of vision. Like I want to get more like I'm interested in that idea,
Yeah.
because it's like it just feels like it's like you're able to do this, and whether it's a big work project or something that you're doing in your personal life, you're able to get things over the finish line, and meet and but find like the creative, fun way to do it. Like that's the thing with you, like you can squeeze the juice and it tastes sweet. Other people were like they squeeze and they squeeze and like and they turn into something that's like it was just bitter, or it's just all pulpy. Like it's like I'm like, I don't know how you did it, but you just like broke an apple with your hand. Like it was a beautiful thing, and you turned into something totally not what it was,
Right. Right.
So let's
Well,
talk. Yeah, let's see what's coming up for you on that. There's something in there I'm curious about.
yeah, there something kind of clicked off in my brain in terms of, I think visionary leaders, or maybe like as you said, I bet you could go in a room and have a full of whiteboards and you could cover the entire wall with a million ideas. Like that is not your issue. And I've been around many people like that. Yes, I can come in and guide the path. But the reality of the situation is I don't do it alone. I don't do it alone. I am firmly a believer in team. And Niiamah, you and I have talked a lot about this. And I'm a great leader of teams. And I also firmly believe that no one can do anything alone. And so as I think about supporting visionary leaders like yourself, certainly other people I've worked with, yes, I can play an informative role in terms of what's the strategy here? Where are we going? Let's figure out how we can get there and map it out. But most of the time, I do it with other people in a team behind me to get there, because the ideas are so big. To think that one or two people can do this, it just won't work. And so we think about in the Steve Jobs of the world. Yeah, everyone knows Steve Jobs, but I guarantee I mean, obviously a huge organization behind him, but I guarantee there were about 10 people on his personal board of directors that got him where he is. And so if I think about, like, I remember before I became a coach and, when I was lost, I I had all these people. I hired so many people. I hired like an energy healer. I hired a coach. I hired a personal trainer, a nutrition. Like I had a team of people, and people would be like, yo, Kim, like, why do you have all these people? I'm like, it takes a team. It takes a team to live the life I want. And you're absolutely right. My motivating factor is the joie de vivre. Like I want to live my life to the fullest. Your is to service the change humanity. That's a big ass mission, and you need that team of people around you. What my gift is really supporting that vision and delegating and managing the people to keep that moving forward. Because not all people can translate a visionary to action, and I think I'm a great connected point to that.
So there's a lot of different things. One, as you're talking, I just feel like a lot of ease coming in and more grace to self coming in. Like, and when I heard you say like it takes a team, like I heard like what the way I heard it was like tears and like obviousness and like just it wasn't just an exclamation. It's like, y'all, like it takes a team for this. You may not have said it with that level of energy, but I heard it and I internalized it with that level of my mind. For me, it was exasperation. It was this element of like, y'all, like this was not meant to be done alone, like I don't know why we're not approaching it in this regard.
Right.
So you just open up a whole lot of space around that. Like, what we they continue. I cut you off there.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of people that are visionary. I do. But 99% of them don't see the light of day because they realize, they think they're the only one that no one understands them. And frankly, they're A, and then B, they're not always gifted at the execution.
All right, so we got to talk about this year, Ray, because we're on Outliers Edge, and I can't tell if I'm becoming more relaxed in this conversation as I get lower, or if I'm like slinking away. So like it might be a combination of both, but like the truth in what you're saying just like really like hits me, Kim. Like it's I spend my time focused on working with outliers, the people who like we're talking visionary leaders, but like they're people who have seen things differently. They've created different levels of success in unconventional paths. They're not with the rest of everyone else. They're not with the average. They're not with the norm. And sometimes they are the only one that's thinking like them, the only one that looks like them, the only one that like has their experiences, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's something that's really important because like while I'm here to like champion that outlier, it's to do it like it speaks to something you're saying. It's like you don't need to do it alone. In fact, like there are things that can be done that can only be done with others. And I really just want to just kind of call that out and slow down into that place of like creating the space and shining a light on the elements of like it doesn't need to be alone. It doesn't need to be alone. And then on the other side of it, that's just like not a negative. It doesn't like not that alone is a negative, but it's just not a thing, right? But then there's the other thing which I think you really brought in, which is like some things require a team. Like give yourself that space. Like what comes up, the reason I say this here, the reason I'm talking about it, it's like there are so many times where I've felt that I've been ineffective, I've been inadequate, inept as an entrepreneur and as a leader because I'm like everyone else around me seems to be able to execute. They can just put they said they want to do this and they just put their heads down and they get it done. I say I want to do it, and in my head I'm like, oh, I've been in the same space for X number of months. It's part of the reason why like I'll come to him like my vision hasn't changed, but I still feel like I'm where I was, even though there's a lot of other things that have been done there. So it really resonates and strikes me. Like for me, it's like the pain of feeling I'm insufficient to just be able to, I don't know, when I look around to see what other people are doing, I'm like, oh, I guess like everyone else makes it look so easy. You know, I don't know if you have anything on that, or if either from personal experience or things around that, but I'll be kind of curious what comes to you as I say that.
Well, two things. You said alone, not that alone is a bad thing. That's what,
Yeah.
and there's something interesting that I think in our culture, alone there is a darkness to it. Like, oh, that person's alone. They must be lonely. It's like they must be. And again, I do think there's power in being alone, but I think there's even greater power in being a part of something, that belonging. And you and I have talked about that too, but like to belong to something, to have people see you for what you are and can elevate your strengths and fill in the weaknesses. And I think that goes back and like how you were saying, when you looked around and people had these ideas and then they executed them, and you're like, wait, I have these ideas and I'm not executing them. I'm like what? Like that comparison, which we know is the thief of joy, which we all do. But it's like, but looking at them, of course, their strength is in execution. Their strength is in project management. That's not your strength. Why pretend to be something that you're not? And I've definitely fallen trapped to this for sure. And then I go on these long journeys of trying to be something I'm not, and I'm ultimately unhappy and further from the goal that I set out to do.
All right, so now I gotta call this in here. For anyone that's listening to this here, like you asked a question, and in my world, questions don't go unanswered. So, why pretend to be something that you're not? Why pretend to be something that you're not? My invitation here is to answer that question, and why pretend to be something that you're not? And take that question seriously. I can answer that. I think I have to go back and answer that question myself.
Yeah, please.
Things happen there, but take it seriously. And the reason I'm gonna answer it in a bit, but the reason I'm saying take it seriously is in identifying what that is, then it gives us a chance to see, it gives a chance to see a blind spot here. It gives us a chance to see something that is making us contort ourselves or mask ourselves or hide ourselves or whatever it is that we whatever our version, dim ourselves down, whatever our version is, to pretending to be something that we're not. It gives us a chance to see well, it's because I ultimately want this. And if we can make sure that we're calling out what that is, then we can go and offer ourselves other paths to it that maybe don't have us mask ourselves. Well, I ultimately don't. Yeah. So let's leave that there. I love. You'll see this with me, Kim. When I hear a rhetorical question or a question I just put out there, I'll be oh, let's answer it.
My brain is because I've pretended I'm something I'm not millions of times. So yeah.
Kim, would you mind if I answered that question? I don't know. I still have an answer to it, but one of the things about this space for me and the conversation with me is I want it to be an experience rather than just a conversation. I'm actually oh, I think I'm done with insight. Not done, but insight. I get the power of insight, but there's something even more powerful with experience. There's something even more powerful with transformation. And I'm I don't want to just leave it at the insight part here. Yeah. So to do that, I'm experimenting with different ways to play with experience and transformation here. And so I want to live this part myself here. Would you mind asking me the question that you pose? And I will do my best to answer with whatever is real for me in this moment.
Okay, Niiamah, why pretend you're something that you're not?
Oh man, I thought I would feel a lot differently than when you actually asked it. I asked her and I'm still feeling why. Yeah. For me, the reason I pretend to be something that I'm not is that what's true for me in this moment right now is embarrassment, right? I feel right now that I should be further along, quote unquote. I should be further along in my business. I should be further along in my presence in my local community. I should be further along. I took a risk, went out to Singapore, became an entrepreneur, all this stuff here. And while things are fine, I've had moderate success with it. I should be further along. And that right now is feels to be the most resonant truth behind like when I choose to pretend, or when I find myself calling myself back into the reality and being honest, it's because there's some part of me that doesn't want to be found out, that I'm like, I'm not as far as I think I should be. Yeah, that feels true. That feels true.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Oh, please do.
Okay. So who do you pretend to be?
It's not a person, but I can tell you the attributes of it. I think that interesting. What this shit up here. I'll just go straight to the interesting part that showed up. The interesting part is I pretend to struggle. I pretend to like that's what was coming through. There's an element of like, oh, I like posture and all this stuff. It's like, no, that's not it, but I pretend to struggle. I think that's probably the best way to do it, like to express it. Like you're catching me right now. We've talked about this where I'm looking to up level my leadership, right? And one of the things that I've found when I go into different environments is that like I come into a space. Let's say I'm in there to either get coached or go through a training, and I pretend as though like the issue that's at hand is actually my issue. So a classic example of this is like, oh, like finding people to become clients. I'm like, to be honest, I know more people than most people know. Like I'm good. I'm memorable. Like it's all like, is that really an issue? No, that's probably not the actual issue in my world here. Like, I don't know if I have to. The issue is, am I willing to go to the people that I know and show up in this capacity? The issue is like, am I willing to go to new places and like speak the truth? Like, it's not. I have no problem meeting people. I have no problem bringing things in. I don't want to pretend anymore that is my issue. I'd rather discover what is my real one. And I think that there's a way that I create myself that, even here, like I choose to be a practitioner and be in the practice of it. And it's something that I'm learning to navigate as to like, how do I be in the practice of it and show the power of that practice without actually like pretending that, like, basically meeting myself at the level where my difficulty is.
Sure.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so let's take the example, and this is for my understanding too, the example of like you in a group, you're also talking about, hey, you have the same problem, you need more potential clients. Now, is that coming from a place of like, you want to find commonalities, you want to find, shared struggles? Like, what does that do for you?
So the way that I would describe it right now is one of the keys to my success is that I've been able to be a chameleon, right? I can go into rooms that, like, I'm typically, like, growing up, I was one of the few Black, if not the only Black person in the room. My parents immigrated from Ghana, West Africa, right? So like I had to learn. I didn't know any American traditions because they weren't taught to me. We didn't have all this. So like, there's been a lot of going into environments and then like seeing, okay, who do I need to be? Like, how does a game play in this? Like, how's the game played, and who do I need to be in this environment? Now, I've been able to do it. Like, there's a certain quality to the way that I go about things that continue to last out, but in general, there's a natural sense of like coming into a room. You're like, okay, who are the power players? What's respected here? How do they talk to each other? Oh, they're fist bump, high five, elbow. Okay, that's a secret handshake here. Like that's like, this is the cool group. This is the other group here. Okay, here goes the problems that like are going to get a lot of sympathy, or here goes the things that are out here. And heaven forbid that I like don't have their problem, because then I won't belong here. If I and not only will I not belong, I'll come off and look like an arse. I'll look like someone who is like who's above it. Like I know that there's ways to do it in a powerful way, but like when I'm out of my power, that's what it looks like. That's what it feels like. So I think I forget the core of your question, but I think like the answer the answer for me is definitely around like, I know I've been able to keep jumping into rooms where people are playing bigger and bigger games or different games than others. And part of what has allowed me to be successful has been my ability to become a chameleon and to be like, oh, okay, this is how we're doing it. Okay, great. We all wear spots here. Great. Boop, spots. Here's my spot, you know?
Right. And I think the core, like if we go back to the core of the question being like, why pretend to be something that you're not? I think, yeah, a lot of people would answer because they want to be part of something. They want to feel part of the group.
My thing is I don't want to be alone. And because the hidden part is a deep part of me feels like this might be from like a past. I had this vision one time of like dying alone on a mountain in a cave. And it's just like, if anyone knew that I was there, I wouldn't have died alone. I wouldn't have died, you know? But like I was out there and I was all alone. And that was like, this feels like there's like this cosmic energy around that, right? So for me, there's this element that comes out to, I would rather be, I don't want to be alone, you know? Because if I'm alone, I will die. It will become a life or death situation for me.
Yeah.
That's the, and depending on the situation, it can turn like into physical life or death or livelihood life or death, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Well, I think like I appreciate you asking this because I think it's important to play with this. I think it's like this is why I'm like I don't always get down to the core of like this is life or death, right? And it's like, oh, this is uncomfortable, or like, oh, I'm not necessarily sure what the best option is, right? And the reality is because I'm like the stakes feel high, whether or not they're true or truly high or not, the stakes feel high.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's funny because like, as you were playing that back, I was reflecting, I'm like, I think maybe I'm a chameleon too. Maybe
Mm.
I can like, and that could be from moving around a bunch growing up and wanting to be part of the group and whatnot. And I feel like and maybe you're the same way. I think you are. I have a lot of friends, a lot of really good friends. And but there's a core set of friends that truly understand me and see me. And I think there's a nuance to that. It's like, it's, as I've gotten older and potentially wiser, I don't really care about not having commonalities with groups. I'm like seeking and getting magnetized the people that can see me and understand me. And I don't care if I'm alone anymore. But I'd rather be with surrounded by people that can see and understand me.
Well, there's a thing when you say that, there's a couple of different nuances that show up. One of the bigger ones for me is like I can be really alone in a crowd.
Yeah.
I can and I can be really alone in the crowd where everyone knows my name and is calling my name, you know?
Totally.
And it's because they haven't seen me, you know? And I think that's one of the things that's like, that can be really disappointing. And also like at times like a big struggle to find the rooms. It's the reason why I created programs like the Trailblazer Oasis, or I do the work that I do. And cause I'm like, I like this podcast, the whole point of it is I'm like, I just want to see you,
Right.
because there's so much in there around people see a title, people see an action I do, and they're like, oh, that's easy for you to do. It's like no, or maybe, but like, you don't know the struggle that came with that. You don't know what it was like to live 15 years of your life or 30 years beforehand, like
Right.
in pain around this until it changes something new. So there's something for me, like when you say that, that's what comes up to me. That's what feels real. I'm curious, like as I reflect that, what comes up for you?
Yeah. I think what came up for me when you brought up like the groups that you build, going back to whatever 15, 20 minutes ago when I was talking about the power of team. And the nuance that I want to add to that, it's not just about pulling people together to be a team. It's pulling together people that can see and understand you and understand your strengths, your weaknesses, and you can understand their strengths and weaknesses. And that's how you create the team to get where you want to go. Because you can hire anyone under the sun. You can surround yourself with all, but if you can't share your deep fear about dying alone on a mountain and someone gets that, it's going to be all for naught, right? It's not the right team.
Yeah. I'm thinking about this right now when I think about, and I love how you said earlier about like the ways, like the different forms of team that you had around you, right?
Yeah.
It's like it wasn't that, it may not have been that everyone, they may not have known that they were all on the same team, but they were on your team, right? Right. And I think about this from the standpoint of like, yeah, I look for when someone's working with me, like someone to be able to check in and be like, hey, are you having flashes of you dying alone on a hill? Because like if you look around, like you're not on a hill, like you're with us, and like if something does happen and you end up like we can carry you to the hospital, like you're gonna be all right here. Do you want to now continue moving forward?
Exactly. Of course, my dogs start barking at this
Right,
key critical moment.
Yeah. No, we have life around me. Like I have a 2-year-old. Like we're good. We're good. Just share what needs to be shared.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's when you. I have a question for you. What's been the best team you ever worked?
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Hey, look. So I'm gonna answer this question honestly, in terms of what feels really true for me. All the other teams know that you're all tied for second, and it's a close second and all that other stuff here. But I'm gonna answer this question honestly. And it was when I was working in a tech company in New York City. I I came in, it was my first non-consultant job. I had never had a manager before. I had a counselor who represented me from all the different projects I was doing, but like she wasn't like my one-on-one person. We did have those kind of conversations, but she wasn't assigning me the work and so on and so forth. And that team, I came in on the learning development team, and then a new director came in and like took a new look at the team and realized that like actually let's move people into like their places of strength. I ended up on the people experience team as a result of this, and the people experience team, like our job was to champion and cultivate and foster the culture of the organization worldwide, right? And on that team, I thrived. And I think there's a number of great reasons for that. One, my manager was just one of the best managers I've ever had. I in my mind, I've only really had two or three. So like in my mind, she was the best, but she was real. She was honest. She found projects that she showed that she respected both me and my teammates, even when there are like times where I had to take on a project that was like completely wrong for me. I remember this one project that still gives me like hives thinking about it, but was like
Excel spreadsheets or something.
Oh, Kim, I have fooled you. I realized in this moment I have fooled you, and later I am one of the top 10% of people on the planet with Excel. I
know you love Excel. It was
jest,
but yeah.
It wasn't that. It was cleaning up the supply closet that we were using to and like organizing and all that. I spent an hour in there, and I came out. I remember coming out of that room, it was like and I was like, I don't know if there's any good. I can't do any work right now. I have to go outside. I just like walked outside and sat in the park and like was like shivering. It's an interesting thing here, but like put me in a closet alone to like organize things is a complete wrong thing, right? But it was also the right thing for the team because like my other teammates there, it was us as a team coming together, right? And rather than just like assuming that yes, she's so much more organized, so she should have to do it, like it was us, it was her ability to see as a team to make that come to life. And I was also supported by my amazing friend and colleague who like I don't know how to describe it, but she's one of the best souls on this planet. And I like there are she was able to unstick me,
Yeah.
when I don't know how to, like, it was just, there were just different things about it, whether we were jumping into a conversation or she was like, hey, here goes what you like, here goes this part that was missing for you. But the team had trust. The team, like, we passed on each other, we passed things on to each other. We had our divisions, but we really collaborated. We knew how the things that we did in one environment contributed to the others and where there could be synergies and so on and so forth. And it wasn't just like, oh, you're going to help me do my job. No, it's like my job just got easier because your job just got better,
Right.
so on and so forth. So that to me was, our scope was also really awesome. Like, there's so many different things, but in terms of like the actual team experience, like, could have had the same scope and remit as an organization, but that team felt, that team was everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And did you feel like an outlier in that team?
Good question. So I would say no. And the reason for this is, like, I didn't feel like an outlier, honestly, until I got to closer to Singapore.
Mm.
And like, that was when I was like thrown out of the environment that I knew. And it wasn't even that, to be honest. It was just like, I just stopped hanging out. Like, the people I was hanging out with were outliers. I went to an Ivy League school. I worked at one of
Right.
the best consulting firms on the planet. And then I went to go work at a tech company in Chelsea in New York City with a bunch of like driven, independently interesting people who like would do race cars on Saturday and then come in and code on like Tuesday, like so I was in a world where, and this is one of my big things, Kim, someone else had the resources and had the time and the wherewithal to go and find these outliers individually and bring them all together, and
Mm.
then created an environment where there was openness and space for their creativity and like the things that made them uniquely awesome to contribute toward that environment. And
Yeah.
after I got to Singapore, I was like, oh wait, where's this group of people who are just already like here, that are just like, I'm like, I have to go out and find this now. you
Right.
know
Right.
I realized just how blessed I was, how lucky I was. Not blessed, I don't think it was luck, but it's like, we're blessed, like, oh, I've been in these environments. I'm like, that's why I think I'm so keen on this stuff. I'm like, I get it. It's to me, it's like drinking, it's just the air we breathe, of like, let's just, oh, you're gonna create something, let's go. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. That's so interesting, because as you're describing that company and how the owner, whoever, pulled everyone together, these group of outliers, interesting people doing different things. I think that's why I'm like, that's the advertising business in many
Mhm.
ways. I'd say made up of 80% outliers, right? And I think that's why I love it. And there's probably something, as you were talking, that connects creativity. There's a connection of creativity and outliers. I just don't know what it is yet, but
Yeah.
there is some kind of connection.
When you say this, it makes me think about when I got hired in that job. One of the big boss, my big boss, not but my big boss,
Yeah.
um, he was really clear about something. He was like, look, we can always, it was advertising technology, we can always teach you ad tech. It's complicated, but no
Right.
one like goes to school and just like knows ad tech. Like, that's not it. But what we can't teach you is to be a self-starter. We can't teach you how to be a creative. We can't teach you to like take the risk, or to like to bounce off of failure, to like, like, or to be like so dedicated to something, whatever that idiosyncrasy that is you. We can't
Right.
teach you that, you
Right.
know but if you come in with something, then all we got to do is add on this additional part. We'll get a great onboarding program. We'll make sure you have all the resources to learn that ad tech part.
Right.
And if we couple that with what you have going on, then something else comes from that. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I think, calls me there, where it's like there's a component of creation, and creation has this element of something new, something new being like it hasn't been done before, or is being done in or innovative ways, so it's coming together in different ways. And I think that like the call to that world strikes people
Mhm.
who have experience the positive things of being outside of what everyone else has gotten.
Right.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense there? I'm putting it in this,
Oh,
putting in that terms.
yeah, no, it does. I never thought about it that way, but I think that makes sense. And I think about, I'd love to understand, like, are the greatest organizations, companies, insert, are they the ones that can foster that? Like, is that the magic?
I don't know the answer to that. My gut is that the greatest teams, like I don't know if the organization's able to hold it, but like the greatest teams are able to do that. And those teams may not look anything like what my team looked like, but they're tapped in. They have found a way to tap into the outlier component. Like I think about outliers as a mindset, not like
Yeah.
it's not a thing. It's like it's a mindset, but they've been able to tap into like the experiences of the various people on the team in a way that creates psychological safety enough for them to show up as they do. I created videos on that team. I like spent most of my time talking to people. I my job was to like help knowledge get shared across the organization. I interviewed as many people as possible. Like I had the space to do it the way that I would do it.
Right.
And I created some considerable relationships that then continue to pay dividends to actually get to the end creation. Part of what made that team so spectacular is that we got the job done our way. And as a result, we built more trust. We got unexpected results that other people weren't getting, so on and so forth. And I think that's what feels like it's true, only because I think about organizations. Like most organizations are more messed up than we would ever like really see.
Sure.
So I'm like, does a magic exist? But on a team by team basis,
Right.
and hopefully if we can able to capture that consistently. Yeah, I think about data analysts and my engineering friends. I'm like, they had a very different outlierness to them,
Right.
Oh,
Totally.
but the another thing I'll say here is the combination of outliers from different parts of the world. So like when I think of my engineering and my data analysts and all that, like we all met at wine club. And so I learned about like bits and bytes while drinking wine with each other. And like they're in a completely different area, but they were the outlier there. And when we came together was when like lots of magic came in. It was like there was a lot of difference that was respected and cherished and valued. And as such, we kept growing with one another. Does that make sense?
No, totally. And it was like this outliers with a shared interest of something that was interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, like wine has nothing to do with anything. May I make one observation?
Please do.
When you were talking about what your responsibilities were in your team, so you were like, I was talking to people, I was creating videos, I was like, I forget all the details that you said. I'm like, wait, this is what he's doing now. Okay. And then you were like, we were growing crazy. We had all these unexpected results. It's like, it's what worked back then for you is happening to you right now. And that's what's like, you kind of through that experience learned like a little bit of the special sauce for what this big mission that you're doing now.
Yeah, let me ask you really quickly here, Kim. We're at the top of the hour. Do you have like 2 minutes for us to like just wrap up with each other?
Yeah.
So let's speak to that last part there. It's intentional. Like the way that I've created my business and my life is intentional because it was in that space that I started to see like how I flew as an adult, and one of the reasons that I do the work that I do is, and I still have it here, I was surprised on my last day or one of my last days with a video that people recorded for me. It was like they stitched together 15 minutes of people talking about what they will miss the most about me and some of like their favorite memories of me. And what threw me to the ground. I still go back and watch this here because especially when I forget who I am.
Yeah.
But no one talked about any projects we worked on together.
Right.
It was all about how I made them feel. It was all about like, and that's when I realized I'm like, oh, I thought they'd be like, you did such a great job executing. It wasn't that.
Yeah.
It was just never, ever, 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 ever that.
Yeah.
And it's like that was when things started to like click for me, that there's something else I want. In fact, the big boss I was talking about, he's like, I was Niiamah at the time. It's like, Niiamah, you know what you do? You create spaces. It was the only thing that wasn't recorded. So I have to like, I have to see this to my mind. I have to see it. But it's like, you create spaces where people feel courageous enough to be themselves and explore from there. And I wasn't in the world of coaches. I wasn't in that, like, it was like, I didn't really know, but like, that's when I started to see what the secret sauce was for me.
Wow.
And and that's what takes me out of like the consultative mode, where I'm like, I promise you're probably not going to talk about the project that we did. You actually like, but you will talk about who you became and how you experienced, and like that's what you're going to walk away here.
Yeah. That's amazing, because that is exactly what you do.
Yeah. Kim, I am really grateful for you. I'm grateful for this conversation, because it's every conversation has been different, but like there's a couple of different things. I trust you. Thanks for asking me questions, bringing your curiosity, letting us talk through some of the things that make you shine out in the world. Like, it's just natural for you, and I appreciate you being willing to play with me as I'm both discovering me more, and also like taking some additional strides to show up more powerfully as that. We're at time here, so let's do this in our conversation. I like to end our conversation with just one simple question, and then an opportunity for people to stay in touch with you. The question here is, most people look at what they would say to their past self, and like if you were 20 years ago, what would you say to them? My question for you is this: what's the message you'd like to leave here for your future self, so that in 10 years time, wherever you are in the world, if you needed to be reminded of something, this Kim right now in this moment has the message for that person?
That's a good question. It'll all work out. The dreams will be there. And I believe, like, if I look back even 10 years to my 10 years ago, it's like, maybe not everything was resolved exactly how I thought it would be, but it's all worked out perfectly, so it's like, it's just that belief that the same thing is going to happen.
Awesome. And now I've just had an experience of you. We've been in a conversation together. I used to say, like, if someone wanted to continue the conversation with you, how could they go about doing it? But I'm going to actually say that if someone wanted to deepen the experience with you, right? If someone wants to deepen the experience with you, what's the best way that someone can reach out?
Well, I have my own website, kimtice.com. And then I'm in partnership with a colleague called Jennifer Schwartz, and we both come from the ad industry. So any outliers from the ad industry that really want folks that have been in their shoes, we're creating programs and initiatives to really serve people in the creative industry. So would love for you to check out createandlead.co in that case.
Thank you for that there. What I get about it is how powerful that experience would be, because like every time I'm with you, I see how you're able to shape the environment to like let both creativity work, but also teams work, and like, and that's it. It's not always easy to get like super creative, or people who like who come at things from very different places in life, to come together and create something really powerful together. I get that you really have that skill there. So thank you so much, Kim. I'm looking forward to everything that comes from here. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
We're just getting started. Take 10 seconds to think about your greatest insight from today's conversation. And if you're ready to go and bring this to a deeper, more applicable level for you, come and join us in an upcoming masterclass. Go to outliersedge.com/masterclass to be coached live and to bring your aspirations, your goals, and your challenges and have them handled in real time. This is high flame, high impact, high transformation. Go to outliersedge.com/masterclass and come experience your next level of leadership.